Hey everybody, it's Cleo and Pearl with Scuttlebutt, also known as Scuttlebutt with Cleo and Pearl. And we're here for to kind of cover the last week's worth of politics. And the first thing I would definitely like to talk about is the loss of Lindsey Graham. I am so sorry to the people of South Carolina, what you must be going through right now. I know he just played a huge part of your uh, as a senator for your state. And I've watched Lindsey Graham. I mean, you can't help it. He's been a big deal in politics for a long time. And it was so shocking and sad to hear that he passed away. So, was there something you wanted to say about that, Pearl?
Well, I don't know, the timing just seems very weird. Like he just took a trip. Yes, he's 71 years old, but he didn't have any alarming health issues. I mean, aside from the fact that it was rumored that he was a pretty heavy drinker. Um, but a trip like that, wouldn't think would cause anything, cause him.
Well, he didn't have any issues that we're aware of, any health issues. But when it comes to a cardiac arrest, which this may have been a cardiac arrest, um, that can just happen. It doesn't matter who you
Yeah,
are.
but
I mean,
the story initially did not say cardiac arrest. It said a sudden and brief illness.
right. Well, that's how they chose to word it at that point in
Yeah.
time. But I've heard since then cardiac arrest. And cardiac arrest is something that generally, especially at the age of 71, you don't really want to survive because
Mm, mm,
within the next few years, you're probably going to pass anyway. But it's just like an instant death, and there's really
mm.
nothing you can do about it. I mean, there's been people that have been to a doctor and the doctor's, full physical, everything's fine, and they walk out the door, and 2 days later, they're jogging down, in the neighborhood, and they collapse, cardiac arrest.
Yeah, I have heard of that too. Yeah, people who are like really in good physical shape, but and then all of a just boom, there
Yeah,
they go.
it is just,
Yeah, that's true. That's
it's,
true.
it's just any of us could be subject to something like that. So,
It's
but
just his
anyway,
life has always been so juicy. I wanted to find some other reason, but probably it's just the heart attack. So I'll let it go.
right, yeah. Let's not make it more than what it is. It's
No,
just, but
no.
and to respect to him and what he's
Mhm.
done for the country and for
Mhm.
his party and for his state of South Carolina.
Mhm.
Um, Condolences to everybody,
Yeah.
his friends, his family, and the state for what they're a great loss.
Yeah.
And then another senator that I've all been concerned about is Mitch McConnell.
Yep.
And just today, a thing came out with a picture of him in a hospital bed wearing regular clothes with his wife and saying that he is doing much better. He's much improved. He's not ready to, I think he's like in a nursing home or like rehab right now.
Yeah, rehab facility to get his strength back
Yeah. And so
after a fall, they said.
he's not ready to come back to work quite yet, but he intends to do so. I'm
Mhm.
wondering, that came out right after the sad news about Lindsey Graham. So,
Mhm.
um, I hope that's true. It's unusual that this it had something to do with a fall. He had a fall, and
Yeah.
so but he didn't have a concussion. And then he had said he also had a mild case of pneumonia.
And he
Well,
I apparently didn't break a hip or anything. I
no, he
mean,
didn't break anything.
that's weird.
And
And also denied all claims of anything like cardiac arrest, heart attack, anything like that.
stroke,
Now,
yeah, no
there had been
strokes.
a story that an ambulance had been called for an elderly patient that had had a heart attack or cardiac arrest. And so he was clearly stating that that wasn't him that they were
Right.
talking about. And but I think again, the timing of his all of a sudden, talkativeness about this issue is strange. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
why not
been,
mention it weeks ago?
yeah,
Weeks ago, I
well,
landed in the hospital. I took a fall. Come to find out, I've got a little bit of pneumonia. I'm doing okay. I'm recovering. I don't know why the big secretive thing about it,
Well,
but
I have a theory.
okay.
You know, his wife actually left the country shortly after that fall.
No, certainly before the
Before
fall.
okay, so his wife is out of the country. She did not rush back to the
Right.
country when she heard about him being in the hospital,
Because
or
they said there was no need.
okay, all right. But the minute she showed up back in the country, now he's jibber jabbering away about what happened to him. So I think Mitch was just happy to see his wife.
Maybe. Maybe. But I just got to go by the news reports. I just find it unusual that they would allow this thing to go on for so long without a bigger statement until now.
Yes,
But
I
anyway. They came up with a statement now, and that is good. And so I
but he
guess
won't be
Mistress
voting
will.
anytime soon, it sounds like. So they're going to be down two big Republican votes in the Senate. So I'm sure that they're not going to want to take any big votes while those two guys are missing.
Well, and I think that
Voting.
that's the other reason that we didn't hear anything because I'm pretty sure the Republicans are really banking on getting that kind of a vote from McConnell. So
Hmm. Hmm. I think so.
now, and speaking of health things, there was a quick thing that came up about Trump, and that he was missing for 3 days uh,
Yeah.
from from July 10th to, well, he hasn't actually. We haven't. It says July 10th to July 13th. Um,
Because
a-
his agenda was marked closed to the
his
press.
agenda was marked closed to the press, meaning
Right.
no media or cameras permitted. And so one reported said that maybe this must be more medical procedures. And I didn't have a chance to actually read this article, but it just came on as I was coming on here that, that he's trying to sue a reporter who has claimed that we're not getting the right information about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Um,
Gee, do you think that could be possible?
I don't see how. These reporters, they're
I
always going
mean,
for
Caroline
hoaxes and
Levitt says that they are the most transparent administration ever.
yeah,
So
and here you've got reporters that are questioning things, and I
how
think that
dare they?
well, I think that's
Wow.
actually their job to do that, to
Oh,
question
yeah. Yeah,
some
you're
of
right.
this stuff.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, but
But it
it's
isn't their job to speculate on what it might be. It's their job to question, but, they don't know.
I don't know that she did question what it might be.
She said must be more, or source said
Well,
must be
there's
more
another
medical
sources.
procedures.
It should just they were just wondering. They just kind of threw it out there. Anyway, he's very pissed off about that.
Yeah,
And
of
he's
course.
very he's hypersensitive about anybody questioning his uh that he's not in perfect health. He's telling you I am in perfect health and I've passed many cognitive tests that claim that I'm on top of my game. I might be 80 years old, but I'm physically perfect and mentally together.
I did note that I got up very early this morning for whatever reason, and when I heard the news about Lindsey Graham, the next thing I heard was that he was going to be uh, on for an interview with somebody, some news channel, and I thought, huh, okay, so that MIA from July 10th to the 13th was immediately, proven false because on today, the 12th, he was supposed to be on TV. So I'm just going to take a peek and see if that actually happened.
And there's just been more and more doctors and psychologists and specialists that are watching what Trump is doing, and they see a very, very dangerous thing happening, especially since this is the same person that has control of the nuclear button, I guess you call it. Um, we just don't know when he could make a rash decision. Not that he ever makes a rash decision like, oh wait, the war in Iran, that might have been a rash decision.
Invading Venezuela. That
That possibly that was a little bit weird, but I've noticed that they want less and less. Uh,
almost going to war with Greenland.
yeah, but then they kind of shove all that under the rug because they didn't really pursue it, and it would have just been a complete embarrassment since we already have a foot in Greenland. We already have troops up there. That it's just the craziness about what he does.
Threatening to leave NATO.
Oh, okay. Well, then there's that. Um, but didn't he already do that once?
Yeah, he did
His
that in
last
his last
administration?
administration. Also, accusing Italy's president or prime minister of not being supportive of him in his war in Iraq.
Yeah, well, it's not just them, though. There's like a lot of countries don't want anything to do with what he's doing in Iran.
No, but
And
he
he,
accused her
well, I
specifically.
guess the fact that he has upended the entire world economy by doing what he's doing in Iran and stopping all these boats or letting the boats in and out, and he got so mad because he told the like the gas stations and stuff, lower your prices because the price of oil per barrel at that point in time, this is like a week or so ago, he claimed was $67. I couldn't find that anywhere, but I could find something close. So he was in a ballpark. I think it was like $71 or but depending on which they've got a couple different places that refer to the price of a barrel of oil. So 71 to 74 is what I heard. He said 67. And so, then all of a sudden, I mean, it was less than 24 hours that the Strait of Hormuz or what?
Hormuz.
Hormuz, Hormuz. Eh,
Hormuz. It
okay,
ends in a Z. Hormuz.
Hormuz. What a pretty name. Let's
It's
see.
been the key to it's been the key port that or a key strait that allows oil to come out of that region for decades and decades.
Wow, for a long time. So
Yes.
yeah, so just about the time they'd get it open, then it went closed, and then the price of gas and everything went up.
Now, hasn't that happened a few times?
And yeah, well, I was just gonna get to that.
Oh,
That was
sorry.
my next sentence
Sorry.
was, uh-oh, then it goes up, it goes down. It goes up, it goes down. So it's kinda hard, like, I don't it's almost they should, like, base it minute to minute, like, if the gas station just got their gas delivered to them and it was at, uh, let's say $70 a barrel, then that's the price they would pay. But if the driver of the truck with all the gas in it was a little bit late and all of a sudden it changed to maybe 75 or $80, I don't know, did they pay more then because it was en route or did they pay whatever they price they paid when it went into the truck? It's hard to know. It's hard to
I
know.
don't know. I
But
don't know.
Trump is so irritated that everybody's questioning this thing and about the price of gas because the price of gas affects everything and it's not just the United States, it's around the world. The people that are getting countries that are getting their gas and oil from uh whatever you call it.
The Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
And right now we are releasing reserves from our oil reserves, and
And
that is
we've been
helping
doing a lot of that.
and that is helping to keep the gas prices down in this country. But in Europe, the prices are always very, very high because they don't have that kind of thing. They don't do
Well,
that.
and but one frightening thing about that is it's very important for the United States to hold on to that reserve. And it's okay to let go of a little bit to try to adjust for the war in Iran. But I've heard, and I could be wrong, or maybe the article I read was wrong, but that we're getting dangerously, dangerously low on those reserves.
Well, and oil executives have already gone to, was it Congress, I think, or the Senate, or both, and said, we are dangerously low. We cannot continue this way. You have to do something to stop this.
Okay,
And
so
they haven't.
we got that problem.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So
wow.
that's no bueno. That is no bueno at all.
So as far as Trump missing for these few days, we don't know what that is. I mean, nobody does, but
Mm-mm.
it's been speculated over most of his uh, term in office this time. About every month or two, he disappears for a few days,
Mhm.
and then he comes back, and then we
Mhm.
see the bruises on the back of the hand and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. I just, there's so much conspiracy theories about what's going on, and there's so much BS that's coming out of the White House. It's hard to know what to believe. But he has he gets so angry about his cognitive skills and telling everybody over and over again, "Hey, I passed that with flying colors, and now you're
Oh
still
god.
questioning it."
Oh
So the
god.
one thing I did want to mention was that uh, at some point, I can't remember where he'd said this, but he said that he has been president 3 times, claiming he won
Oh, what?
3 3 elections. Yeah, Trump claimed that he won 3 elections. It's so weird because in no time in history has there been anybody that that I'm aware of. I mean, the rules are you can be president twice. You can hold presidents for 8 years if you get elected. But he did it for 3 times, and within the article I was reading, they said the people are just tired of it. They're tired of the BS. They're tired of hearing about the 2020 election. They're tired of him talking about that, what how terrible Biden is and that he should have never been in there. And then on the other hand, he's saying, well, he's not really in there. I was the one, Trump, was the one that was the president in 2020. You
Oh my
just had a different guy standing in. So
oh
they
gosh.
find this, believe it or not, they find this as abnormal behavior. Um,
Well,
raising,
there we did have a president who was elected not 3 but 4 times. Franklin Roosevelt was
oh,
president 4 times, and on the 4th term he did die in office. But
but then did they change the rules after that?
after that they did change the
Okay,
rules.
and
Yeah.
here's what's going to happen after this president leaves. They're going to change the rules about how many felonies a person can have in order to be, to be disqualified from being
Well,
president.
let's hope it's 0.
It's
I mean, you
0.
can't have any. You
It's
shouldn't
gonna
have
be
any.
0.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 0. But,
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that, we don't wanna get pushy about it. Um, so anyway, it raises questions about his cognitive stability and political messaging, because why in the world say that? I guess I'm a little bit wrong that there is some, um since some other president was president 3 times, I guess that it was possible at some point in time. I guess if he did some time travel back to which president was it again?
Franklin Roosevelt, he was president he got elected in 32, 36, 40, and 44. So it would have to be prior to 1932.
Okay, so he could maybe do time travel, and
Maybe he
that's
could.
maybe that's how he understood it.
Well, and also going back to his 3 days MIA, he claims that on Saturday night he spoke to Lindsey Graham before Lindsey died. Now
Well,
he'd
he
have
probably did because
he,
Lindsey Graham was going to the Ukraine.
he was in Ukraine and he had flown back home. He was home when he died. And so Trump would have had to get to him after he landed on the plane and before he died to have that conversation.
Oh, I think he probably did.
Okay.
That wouldn't be a surprise to me. I mean, Lindsey Graham was doing that trip to Ukraine probably for the president and
Well,
said,
no, the president doesn't want to support Ukraine, but Lindsey Graham does. So you think that it's for the
So
president?
then well, I'm thinking that when he came back, he was just like going over what he learned when he was there.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think this might be another baffling and wondrous episode that the president is imagining, but I could be wrong.
Oh, I see. You think that maybe this didn't really happen.
Right.
Oh, excuse me. I naively think that for once he might have been telling the truth.
Oh, yeah, that's entirely possible. Mhm.
So, um, yeah, I just that 3 times thing, people are just
Yeah,
like, "Stop
very,
it. Just
very,
stop it."
yeah, just very weird.
We're
Yeah.
but he's tried and tried and tried through the courts, through the media, through just his rallies, tried to get people to understand that he was cheated out of his presidency.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why he is doing so many goofy things to try to control the voting.
Oh, yes.
Uh,
Including goofy things, including where was that? The holding out on the SAVE Act and allowing them to pass that bill. Where is
oh
that?
yeah, yeah. I'm trying to find my notes on that.
Okay, Trump attacks Republicans while holding housing bill hostage.
There we go.
Trump's baffling and stupid midnight moves split Republicans and united Democrats. You want to talk about that?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Okay. So, and this is not our words. This is what was written about it. Uh, and I think we all heard about it that it's the Save America Act that has to do with all these things that there's already an injunction against all these things,
Hmm.
about voting, about proving your citizenship,
Hmm.
about mail-in voting, how that it should not be accepted even though it was postmarked in time.
Hmm.
Um, the lists that he wants from each and every state that list each voter so that they can go through the list to try to disprove that a voter is in fact a citizen. Um, and so what he did, and nothing new here, he held up this housing bill
Section
and
8
said,
housing.
"Yeah," he said, I'm not gonna sign this bill until or unless you have the Save the Act bill on there as well." He wants that passed. It's the same thing that 3 different judges, federal judges, have said, "You cannot do what you're doing. It's against the Constitution. You're the president. The president does not have the right to do this, blah, blah, blah." But he says, "No, this is what I want." But that little housing bill, once I think they had to wait 10 days, and if he did not make a decision within 10 days, then it automatically goes through. So that's what happened. So the Republicans were just livid. The Democrats were like, "Yahoo! This
Elated, I
has
bet. Yeah.
this has to do with Section 8 housing, which is housing for people that can't really afford housing, to help people
Mhm.
put a roof over their head." It's
Mhm.
Section 8 has been around for a long time.
And there's
Um,
not nearly enough Section 8 housing. Not nearly enough.
Not nearly enough, but what we don't understand as just citizens is that the Republicans do not want people to be dependent on the government. They're tired of giving these handouts to poor people, to disabled people, to people with mental instability. All of this stuff, food and housing and stuff shouldn't be. They just don't want you to be dependent on them. Well,
I bet these people are bad parents. You know what I mean? I bet they're just really, really bad parents. Like don't look at me. Go get yourself some food. Like
That's
I mean
exactly
I
that's
mean,
exactly the way
ah,
this looks.
oh
And I'm
gosh,
like,
it's so
"Why
bad.
why don't you want that? What else is government for?" I mean,
Yeah.
it's we're all here to help each other. We can't individually do that. Well, what the Republicans say is don't depend on us because depend on your churches, your charitable foundations, people that can help out with food and housing and homelessness. The problem with that is, and this has been tried and tested for years, there's just not enough charitable charitable places. I mean, what they're talking about does exist everywhere. In every state, there is people that are, good-hearted people that want to help out and bring food to people and that kind of thing, like Meals on Wheels, that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, you can't do it that way, and that's why the government has helped us out for a long, long time. That's not, I'm not trying to be down on the Republicans, but that's just the Republican uh, ideology of what it
Mhm.
is to be a Republican. Smaller
Mhm.
government, lower
Mhm.
taxes, uh,
Mhm. But
keeping
here's the thing is that they wanna cut things like, these, food programs and healthcare programs and, all this stuff, and the
and
money is
Medicaid,
there, and Medicare, Social Security,
Medicaid,
SSI,
Medicare.
Medicaid, the SNAP programs, the food, I mean, all around the world, the food, right? But the thing is that the money is already been paid into those accounts basically for those
But
services.
that's not what they want the money for.
Well, then what the hell are they doing with the money? Because my paychecks have been paying for those things since I was 14 years old. I paid
Well, it
into
doesn't.
Social Security, SSI, Medicare, and all the rest of my taxes pay for all that other shit. So,
Well, if
what are they doing with that money? Are they
well,
just
from their
lining
what?
their pockets?
No, I don't think they're just lining their pockets.
I do.
They're no, what I think they're doing is they're trying to make it so that the very rich people now, not that you're not doing well, Colleen or Pearl, Colleen Pearl, not that you're doing well, but you're not a multimillionaire, you're not a billionaire,
I'm not?
and
Oh,
so
shit. I better get rid of this house then.
and so if you were, you would be possibly having to pay more taxes than you are right now.
Well,
Right
no, if I was
now,
really a billionaire, I wouldn't pay any taxes.
there's many loopholes for the very rich,
Yeah.
and this is what they're trying to avoid, and this is what we've been talking about for, well, the whole time Trump's been in office,
Mhm.
is that the whole purpose of this is not for them not to pay their fair share.
Right.
Uh, and that is exactly what is happening, and that doesn't change. But they have this double talk that pretends like we're doing this for you. We're not paying. We're just not. We're not willing to foot the bill for something that you should be taking care of yourself. So
Yeah.
your disabled son or daughter that will never probably be able to work is at a huge disadvantage. I'm sorry, we'd like to help out, but we just can't
Yeah.
because then that leaves you dependent on the government. This is so bizarre of their thinking. And I just want people to understand that this is exactly the
Sorry.
way it is. If you don't believe me, go ahead, look it up on the internet and ask what's the ideology or what's the main core belief of the Republicans? And that is it. Lower taxes, especially on the rich, um, less smaller government, which makes it sound good, like smaller government, like they're not going to be intrusive. Well, helping out the poor and indigent is not being intrusive. Um, they're just tired of always having to help out those that should be able to, some they're constantly trying to prove this fraud that people
Mhm.
are, trying to trick or use the system to get free food, free housing, welfare, health insurance. you know, even Social Security. Now, they can't really do the same thing with Social Security because we know that every single person that's ever had a job and a Social Security number pays into Social Security, and with the promise that one day when you retire, when you reach a certain age, you can go back and dip into this pool of money that has been collected from you all your lives,
Yeah.
and they're going to help you with this. Um, they can't really get out of that one. So what they're saying with that is that as time goes by, there's just not going to be enough money for it. And we're talking by 2030. I don't know. Okay, they keep changing it. They keep lowering, 35, 32, 30,
Mhm.
2031. There's just not going to be enough money. Everybody's going to receive 25% less than because there's not the money to do it. Something is wrong with this. Something is totally wrong with this um, because there should be enough money. Think about how much money is being put into there. They're saying that we're just gonna by the way the figures work out. If you do the math, little by little, it's just not going to be there.
Yep.
So, but that's just one thing. But all this stuff about social services, which my whole life I don't know that it's existed my whole life. I didn't look into that part of it, but my whole life there's that's always been there for people. I think some of the things like welfare and stuff came up more in the 60s, 50s and 60s. I'm not positive. Um, but it was something that was just so life saving. It was really a changing thing that really, made it so people had a chance uh, to get ahead. The
Yeah.
other thing was is that so many people that reached old age that got sick would lose everything because they're sick and dying, and so they would go basically into bankruptcy. They'd lose their houses, they'd lose their savings to try to stay well, to try to survive a little bit longer, and so they end up in the poorhouse. And then I'm talking about many, hundreds of thousands of people that have worked their whole lives and put into, to paid their taxes, did what a person had to do. And just because they got sick, they would lose everything. This is another thing that reason Medicare, Medicaid stepped in to try to make it so that people uh, didn't lose everything.
Hmm.
But these are not. They're not. There's not a bunch of people like the amount of fraud that consists in any of these social areas like for food and housing and things like that is less than 1%. And that is nothing. But they have just blown it out of proportion about how many people are trying to defraud the government, trying to trick them. Does it happen? Yes. But we're talking 1% of all
1%.
these millions of people.
It's like the voter fraud stuff. There is no real voter fraud. And they keep trying to make such a big deal out of it, and it's just non-existent. It just doesn't exist.
Yes, and we were going to talk about that too. What is
The voter fraud.
the voter fraud? Okay, well, part of it was we were just talking about that the housing
Hmm.
thing that that the Save America Act and how that goes against these the three judges that have said no, you cannot do that. But also, um, now they've gotten things so confused because some states, Republican states, are trying to conform to what Trump wants. They're trying to come up with these lists of voter names and stuff like that's going to make a difference. That is not. I just don't believe that that's what they want those names for. I think
I
they
agree. I don't think that's what they want them for either.
I think they want to use them against the people that have registered to vote.
Yeah.
And so if your name looks too foreign, uh,
Hmm.
They'll try to make up things. They'll just not, they'll say you're not a citizen, and not only can you not vote, you need to get out of the United States. You need to be deported. Um, it's just taking over things that it's just unnecessary, totally unnecessary. So, but then this question about this huge big database that they were trying to put together, which the injunction says, the court ordered injunction says, no, you cannot do that.
Mhm.
But the Save America Act is a bill. What the court said is an injunction. But I don't know enough about the laws and what's going on there, but they're trying to. It's kind of a yin and yang thing. Like, well, you said we can't, but we say we're going to create a new law that says we can.
But
So,
it's not just a law, it's the Constitution. So a law cannot be created that goes against the Constitution.
but
It
they're trying to
it
come
should
up,
not pass. It should not pass.
and it probably won't. But in the meantime, it scares everybody to
Yeah,
make them think
yeah,
that this is what's going to happen.
yeah.
Um, even in Washington, they had some Republican tried to do a thing with having people come in and show them different ID that proved that they were a citizen. And then I don't know what they were doing with it. It made me so cranky that I ended up writing to Patty Murray about it because I thought, what are these people doing with this information that they're saying that these people have to have? And not only that, the people that think that they needed to have it were adamant. We had a little face off on Facebook, and they told me how wrong I was. And I thought, okay, fine. I'm not going to argue with you people. Um, because I knew I was right, but I also knew that it was a bone of contention amongst the Republicans. So I let it go. We'll just wait. I just figured, let's just wait and see how this pans out. And that's about the time this thing came up with the judges from three different states or three different federal judges. One was in Florida, the other ones were, I can't remember, Massachusetts, Maine, I don't know, somewhere else. But what they were the important thing was that they were federal judges that made a decision about it and pointed out what was unconstitutional and pointed out that any president, is not allowed to do that, and that the elections are under the state's uh,
Jurisdiction.
jurisdiction. Thank you. Um, so everybody's are still arguing about this. They're still fighting for it. I see the Speaker of the House bringing up the voting thing and also the birthright citizenship. Oh God, they're up in arms about that
Oh,
too.
Jesus.
Um, and birthright citizenship, I guess this has come up from time to time in history that maybe it should be different. Um, and the
Again, it's a part
Republicans,
of the Constitution.
yeah, and it's exactly what the Supreme Court, the highest court in the land,
Mhm.
determined it to be.
And we're not
However,
the only country who has it. Many
not only
democratic countries have it.
many over 30 have the
Mhm.
pretty much the same thing.
Yep,
Another 80 countries
yep,
have a form of it.
yep.
So uh, the fact that we're constantly lied to about it. Trump said no other countries have it. No, no, they're trying.
He said
They feed this to their people,
he
and
tries. He
those
thinks
people
if he
believe
just
it
he thinks if he just says it, he makes it so. And
exactly,
that is
and that's
not
just
true.
no, that's not true. That's not the way it works, and it's going to change. So in the meantime, there's this constant. I mean, it's just like it's just like the schoolyard bullies fighting
Yeah,
fighting amongst each other
yeah,
about what's going to happen in November.
yeah.
Trump is absolutely petrified that the Democrats are going to take over. Um,
They should be.
and I think they are. And so the other thing, and by the way, I will have another show about this, but He's trying to say now that the Democrats are communists. Well, totally ignorant thing to say, because he's talking about democratic socialists, and democratic socialists are, they can be anybody. They don't have to be a Democrat. Anybody. It's an ideology. It's not a party. Democratic socialist is not a party.
Right.
And what democratic socialists are vying for is
Better quality of life.
in a nutshell, yes,
Good.
better quality of life,
Yeah.
Medicaid, or excuse me, Medicare for all.
Hmm.
Um,
Excuse me one
I,
minute. I got to get my cat's attention and make sure she gets her food. Hold on.
no, brother,
I'm
right in
sorry.
the middle of this,
I'm
the
sorry.
cat. No,
It's very
no,
important. It's
the
very
cat
important.
has no respect. Should be deported. Where did that kitty come from? So that is what you know. Democratic socialists are not communist. I just wanted to be absolutely clear that everybody understands that. The socialist part of that name comes from, I guess there is little things that they have picked up on, but it's totally the opposite of what you might think. And for him, for the president of the United States to refer to them as communist is nothing more than lying again. I mean, it's just the constant lying. Um,
Well,
a Democrat.
and you know what else is really frightening the Republicans too is Zoran Mamdani in New York, who is the biggest Democratic socialist, and he's just riding a huge wave of success in
Well, and
everything that he touches.
a
Yeah.
lot of Democrats across the country are winning in their primaries, getting ready to run
Hmm.
in November, and they also believe, I don't know exactly how you word it, but believe in democratic socialists. It's a really big thing. To me, it feels like, as an older person, it feels like this is just the up and coming people that we've been waiting for.
Hmm.
People that, they're not going to accept this, the way the status quo right now is so weird, but they're not going to accept that. They want us to be a better country, not a country that has stepped back in time and gone. I don't know where we're going with this, but
I think it's the era of like Genghis Khan. I mean, I think we're going all the way back. I think, heads on spikes are
are
next. And I don't think we're
you
that
talking?
far from that.
Is that like thousands of years or
Yes. Yes, it
okay?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's where we want to go. And
No, we don't.
if you remember what Kamala Harris and Tim Walz said, we're not going back. We're not going
Yeah.
back. Now we know what the hell they were talking about. Because when they first said it, I was like, we're not going back to what? Well, now we know. No need to question it anymore. We're living in the area, the era that is going back, and that is the Republicans' need for control. And the idea is to separate the people. Yeah, they're all for the party. The Democrats and the Democratic Socialists are all for the people.
Yep.
So for the party, they want lower taxes for the rich. They want not to fund all these Medicare, Medicaid, as social programs, such SNAP. They don't want to fund that. Not
Yep.
because they're being mean, but because they're trying to help you out to stand on your own 2 feet.
Oh, jeez. Come on.
So what?
Well,
So what if you're blind? So
yeah.
what if you're,
Well, and
what?
here's the thing
What,
too.
you can't walk. You're confined to a wheelchair. That's
You're,
come
what do
on,
you
get
mean
out
you're
there and
8
get a
years
job.
old and you can't find a job? Come on, pull it up by the bootstrap. They're just idiots. The thing is that so many of the Republicans who are holding office right now are sitting in very, very gerrymandered districts where it's been rigged around so that it's just the few Republicans voting for them, getting them in. And it's not really representative of the whole group that they should be representing. So if they were really representing all of those people, A, they wouldn't be the ones in office. And so the people who are trying so hard to hang on to this control are hanging on to it for, the wrong people. They don't understand who their constituents really are. They don't understand what people really want because they're in this silo. They're in this very, very narrow world where, we can control everybody and everything, and everybody should just be like a slave or a serf, and they should just be happy they have any job at all, and they should, I mean,
So
they're
you're
just
saying like an authoritarian type country.
yeah, like you remember, like when they had kings in Europe and England, and the peasants just
They
had to
don't
do
do
all
that.
the work. That's how I feel we are. I feel like we are the peasant working class. You can never get ahead enough to have like a really nice big house and a vacation, and not have to, you and your husband both have full-time jobs, maybe a couple of extra part-time jobs in order to get those kids through all their soccer games and tennis lessons and dance lessons and braces and camp and
Oh,
extra
they
tutors.
don't need that. They don't
Oh
need that.
God, I mean, it's
You
just,
don't need all this extra stuff. You're
yeah,
making
but
a
you can't
you don't,
succeed without your kids getting help, right? You have to
no,
work,
no,
so you can't do
they
this
don't
for
need
your
help.
kids. Yeah.
Go to
It's
the
it's
churches. Go to your other charitable
yeah, that's not happening.
contributors.
That's not happening. First of all, if you're talking about mega churches, they're all corrupt. They all want you to, fill their coffers, and they're all going on, trips to the Caribbean, they're not paying out to poor people. It's a very corrupt system that we're in right now. It's very upside down. It's very difficult to make a go of it. And the people in power are not aware and not willing to even look at what real Americans need. They just
No, they
don't.
don't. You don't understand. They do not. Republicans do not care.
Well, MAGA does not care.
Mega does not care because they are set on the ideals, the ideology that they've set up, which
Yeah.
is written clearly. They knew what they were voting for because everybody had access to a document called Project 2025.
That's
And
right.
within that document, it explains clearly that no, we're not going to subsidize, the government will no longer subsidize these social programs that are not necessary, that they call a waste of money,
Hmm. Yeah.
that we are just wasting all this money. Remember when Elon Trump went through all the records for,
Elon Musk.
excuse me, what did I say?
Elon Trump.
A Freudian slip, if I've ever heard one.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was great. That was great. Oh, man, that's great.
That they're going through all the Social Security records and finding all these people that were fraudulently getting more money from Social Security. However, not one of those persons that they found had a clue that they were getting more money than they were supposed to get.
Yeah.
Hopefully that got squared away, but for a while there, you had a bunch of retired folks sitting around going, "Oh my God, they want me to pay $50,000 back, or they want me to pay this or that back, or they're going to cut me off." I think it mostly got straightened out, and that Social Security finally said, "We made a mistake," because that's all it was. It was
That's
a
all it was.
mistake.
Yeah.
It
But
was never a
in the meantime, Doge fired thousands of people, maybe several 100,000 people from the government in jobs that really were necessary, but the Doge didn't take the time and didn't understand why they were necessary. And do you know that now, 18 months later, they're trying so hard to hire these people back?
Well, what you don't understand, Pearl, is that that's the whole idea, is to fire all these people so we can bring down the government, make
Oh
the
yeah.
government
Yeah.
smaller. We
Mhm.
got to make it smaller so we don't
And
have
just
to
destroy it. Just let it collapse because they
yeah,
don't
that's
believe.
what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
economy is on its way to
Yeah, they're
collapsing.
succeeding. They're basically succeeding, which is horrible.
They're getting what they wanted,
Horrible,
and
horrible to realize
they're
it.
not paying more. They're tired of paying, giving these handouts to indigent and poor, and
And how is this harming any of them? How is this hurting any of them? It's our money. It's our money. Go,
it's
kids.
harming the rich people when they have to pay
No.
more taxes. You don't seem to get it.
The
They
thing
want
is
them
that
they want their
millionaires or billionaires or whatever they are have started organizations to push for paying their fair share in taxes. And a lot of these people, I've watched podcasts that they're on, and every single one of them has said, even if they had to pay a 10% tax, they wouldn't feel it. These people are so rich, they wouldn't feel it. It would not change their lifestyle one iota. And when you hear that, then all the arguments that they have about, oh, you can't tax the rich, otherwise all the jobs will dry up and they'll move out of this state or they'll move out of the country or what, it's all BS. It's all BS. It's just a matter of control. I don't even think they care that much about paying the damn taxes. I think it's just about control. They just want to control every penny that we work so hard for.
or they do or the government does.
Same. They are the government. All of these people
The
are in the
oligarchs,
government now.
yes.
Yeah, they're the same, one and the
But I think
same.
you're right. I think that a lot of these very wealthy people, and I mean, it's really a small amount compared to the population, but
Yes.
we're talking about if you were to combine all their money together, it's just astronomical how much
Yeah,
money
and
it
that
is.
10% or say 5%, if they were paying 5%
Yeah,
taxes,
I don't think they
it would
would.
just change the country overnight. It would
And that's
that
what
oh.
Bernie Sanders has been pushing forever,
And
as
I love
saying,
Bernie Sanders. I've supported him for years. I still got all of his campaigns, especially the last one that he did. I still got my Bernie mug. I still got my Medicare for All sticker on my refrigerator. I, I'm 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 worshiping at the feet of Bernie Sanders.
me
I
too,
always
me
have
too.
been.
Yes,
I think
Bernie
when I was
Sanders is
in
amazing.
elementary school, he was talking about that stuff, or no, middle school. I think, yeah, maybe elementary school too. But I remember having conversations with my friends about um, socialized medicine. They didn't call it Medicare for all then, but just everybody getting health care. And that's when insurance and healthcare was still a relatively new concept for a lot of folks. A lot of folks didn't have anything because employers were not yet giving it to people when they were working. But I remember talking about that. And
Well, I remember in the 70s and 80s when we were talking about socialized medicine,
yep.
and people were freaking out because they were like, it's Canada, it's just like Canada, and it's called socialized medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, that word socialized, social, it just, democratic, that whole thing, it sends
Freak
people,
people out.
yeah, it freaks people out because we thought back in the 70s, I think it was the 70s, it might have been the
Mm-hmm.
80s,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that they were saying, well, then we wouldn't have as good a care as we have now. We wouldn't have people, basically that were funded by the government to do research for cancer and research for new types of prosthetics, research for all these different
Yeah,
diseases and disorders that we
I heard
wouldn't
that
have
too.
that with social medicine.
And
I'm
I
not
heard
so
that
sure.
too. But I think that that was a lot of propaganda
Of
from
course it
Republicans.
was.
From Republicans. Yeah,
Because
good
we
for them.
just didn't know, it had just been thrown out there. I do remember a lot of because I worked in the health industry,
Mm-hmm.
and I would see, I would talk to some people about it that were in the know, and they were all just panicking, that how that would work, and that it would eliminate so many jobs, and it would eliminate so many businesses. But I don't know that. The system up in Canada has been around for a long time. It works very well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Canadians take care of their people. You would think the United States, supposedly the richest country on earth would take care of their people. But instead, we've got a bunch of Republicans and we've got somebody in the White House named Trump who says, uh, nah, not so much. We're not really doing you any favors by doing that. We're making you dependent on us. And we just don't want that kind of control. It's so much nonsense. It's so much double talk of what they're doing. And I just want everybody to know that this is exactly where they're at. I'm not talking about some conspiracy theory. I'm not talking about something I made up. It's out there. And it's something that makes a difference for November because what I'm talking about, the Republicans are their full agenda is on it's on fumes right now because
Mhm.
if the Democrats get a hold of the House and the Senate, or even if they just get a hold of one or the other, it'll make all the difference in the world.
Mhm.
But now,
Yeah.
then we can finally do something instead of having these cookie cutter Republicans that are like, yes, Mr. Trump. Yes, President Trump. Yes, we do that. Yeah, is that what you want? You want us to get rid of Medicaid? Yes, that's what we'll do. You want us to eliminate all these social programs? You want us to go ahead and shoot people who might be immigrants and put them in detention centers? This thing about the immigrants, yes, we've always wanted to do something about it. We've wanted to get more better control of it, which, by the way, as much as they will not tell you this, Joe Biden did a very good job, particularly at the end of um,
Yes, he did.
his presidency, and he did deport a lot of people, but he managed to do it without threatening, without coming to people's doorsteps. Most of it occurred at the borders, and
He didn't
it,
separate children from their families.
exactly, and those some of those children to this day, that goes back to Trump's first
Ugh,
administration. To this
that's
day, are
hideous.
still out there, don't know where their parents are at. Oh, I
Those
mean, it's just
children are
horrible.
10 years older now because
Yeah.
of, and not knowing their parents.
So, um, but yeah, what I'm saying is that this has to stop, and it has to stop in November. We can't get through another couple years of this kind of nonsense.
Mm-mm.
And let's remember why Donald Trump insists on being president. It saves his ass. He's got 34 felony counts against him.
Mhm.
He's a con man.
Mhm.
Um, he has the like the E. Jean Carroll thing, not wanting to pay her,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
really, even though the courts keep saying no, you got to pay her. We've been through the whole thing. There's no appeals. There's no more this or that. You got to pay her. And he's like, not going to do it. And I'm president, and there's nothing you can do about that because I've got a Supreme Court that says I can do anything I want
Mhm.
within, being a president. Please,
But
he takes
but
it.
I don't want E. Jean Carroll or anybody else to feel bad about Trump coming and taking advantage of us and doing all these things. He's also taking advantage of all of the Republicans too. He's taking advantage of every single person that he comes in contact with. So we're not special. He's doing it to everybody,
True.
you
Very
know.
true.
I just wanted to point out that this will make you feel really good. That Canada has had universal health care for over 5 decades. The first province to introduce it was Saskatchewan in 1947.
Wow.
The nationwide system, known as Medicare, was established in two phases. An act passed in 1957, followed by the Medi-Cal Care Act in 1966. By 1971, all their provinces had implemented comprehensive universal plans. So it can be done in the modern world.
And very successfully. I mean,
Yes.
I haven't heard one Canadian go, "Oh God, I wish they'd quit paying for my health care. I
No.
wish they.
They
I
they
wish."
might say, "Oh, I wish I could, get in to get this special surgery sooner." But nobody's saying, "Oh, damn, my mom couldn't go to the hospital because she didn't have insurance, so she died." Because I
Yeah,
hear that a
that
lot.
doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
Nope, but it happens in this country
It happens in
every
America.
day on the regular. multiple times across every state.
And this is exactly what the Trump administration wants to have happen, to not have any kind of connection with healthcare and government. Uh,
Again, a terrible parent. And we see him demonstrating this with his own kids, all of them. All, what does he have? 52 children now? And all of his kids, he's a negligent parent, completely negligent. And that's the way he wants to run the country. He thinks he's trying to run the country as a business, but he's really running it as a very bad, dysfunctional family. He bullies people. He encourages all of his kids, his little senators and congress people, he encourages them to fight amongst themselves. In fact, he encourages competitiveness to the point of bullying people. He puts people down. He puts women down. He is a terrible, terrible parent. Just terrible.
wow, that was good.
Thank
I
you.
like that.
Thank you.
So, we're about at the end of our show for this
Mm-hmm.
section. This will probably be out on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
If you get a chance, please like and subscribe. Um,
Do
really
the thumbs
appreciate
up
that.
thing. That's really helpful.
Yep. So, yes, thank you so much. And as you can tell, I tried not to even interject that earlier in the show. And we don't have a banner up about that, but
Mhm.
because we know that people like what we're doing and they will subscribe to our channel. So, thank you for coming this far with this. And we're an hour and 1 minute into it. We will be back next week. But in the meantime, I am working on some other little shows that I'm topics that I'm really interested to share with you all. So something may come up before next week.
Oh,
So thanks again for being here, and we're going to say goodbye.
bye, everybody. Thank you.